Warriors, noble spirits, and wild hearts, good now and welcome back to Baconspiracies. I'm your host, Chop, and I hope this piece of media finds you well. We have new episodes every Saturday, and you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Also, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and currently working on a TikTok against my better judgment.
He has fallen from grace.
yeah, a little bit. So this is part 2 of the video that we recorded last week. I'm joined by Card and Rosey again. How are y'all?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Good. Rosey, are you with us? Rosey, are you with us?
Apparently not.
Testing, hello?
Testing, hello, there you are.
Okay, I was talking. I said I had a bag full of nickels and I'm ready to go out into the world.
Okay.
Sorry, I just want to re-say the important thing, you know.
Like I said, I'm joined by Card and Rosey once again, and we're going to delve into the second part of what we were talking about last time. I believe when we last left off, we were briefly discussing how the Mongols, their religion worshipped, like their main god was a water spirit, and they believed that water was sacred and wouldn't touch it except to drink. Like they wouldn't bathe or anything like that. They would literally only drink water. I wanted to know a little more about that, because that's how do you run an entire empire where everybody's just stinky?
Pretty sure for the times, I doubt personal hygiene was that high on the list. Well, then again, I actually don't.
Yeah, but like not even jumping in like a river or something?
I know some of their mythology, just not the actual.
I mean, they found like ways around it because it's kind of similar. Like I don't want to make like you start going left field or whatever, but it's if something similar. It would be like fucking the Norse only bathed on I think it was Sunday. That was like their only thing, but they actually used water. For the Mongols case, I mean, they're like there's like different oils and things like that. I mean, because these were like they were pillaging China, and China had like all those fancy things, but I don't know.
When it came to the Mongols, it was because they believed the land and water actually had a spirit to them. As in, they were actually, in a way, living as much the same way as they were, which is why they revered it so.
If I remember correctly, that god was Tengri, or the old pronunciation would be Tengiri.
If I recall, that would be shamanism. That would be the shamanism, yes.
Because that was originally a Mongolic deity, but it ended up being adopted by the Turkish after the fall of the Mongolian Empire.
Yeah, it was the Tengri, the sky personified.
So that would make sense. Like the sky god is the source of life. One would associate water with that and treat it as sacred.
Tengri was not only worshipped by the Mongols, but they're also worshipped by the Turkish people and the Hungarians.
Yeah, Hungarians too.
Because they're all in that sort of same kind of area, the area between like Europe and Eastern Asia and things like that, where like all their cultures kind of started mixing together so much.
Yeah, I mean, also the Mongolian Empire was massive. I want to say...
I don't know if it's true, but like apparently from like space, you could kind of see like the outline of like how much, not like how much of their area, but like how much of China would, like the wall that kind of went around.
The Mongol Empire was, it was nearly 2/3 of the habitable zones of the entirety of Eurasia.
Yeah.
So anything Mongol is going to be spread far and wide across many, many parts of Eurasia. God, if I can find an image with more pixels, I could see what ended up where. Every map of the Mongolian Empire is like crunchy 144p, so you're just gonna have to believe me on this. It was bigger than the Roman Empire for sure at its peak.
Source, trust me.
Source, dude, trust me.
Pardon me, Chop. I think we need a contractor out here or an observer. We need to get these guidelines.
Nah, I'm good for it, man.
Okay. I was also looking here. Apparently, the Mongols had a war god named Jamsron.
They had a lot of spirits. They had actually I can't remember. I know they had benevolent and malevolent spirits, but they were representative of both aspects.
It seems like though every culture, like outside of like monotheistic cultures, there's always a war god.
Even in the case of monotheistic, people with very militaristic or a militant approach use their god as a war god in one form or another.
Loops back to what we started with on the last episode, the Crusades. Deus Volt, motherfucker.
Deus Volt.
Yes, there's multiple different adaptations. It really depends on which one you look at, and ultimately it's the culture and philosophy of the nation that really decides how they went about it.
Ever since we did the last one, I just kind of was like, I had gotten to a very inquisitive frame of mind, so I started listening to this thing on Spartan culture. I think it was like Hardcore Histories and like Spartan culture in general, and the fact of how they were just an abrasive people, and yet it's kind of hard to describe. Like, they acted in the ways of their belief. Like, they found power in that strength, other than people finding strength for that power. I don't know. I thought it was interesting.
I definitely believe that for the purposes of morale, and I don't want to get into the semantics of how religions are formed or anything, but a god of war or a god whose sole purpose is to oversee and protect soldiers is essential for morale, because I don't know about them, but I would get fucking tired of like, yo, fight for the king, everything you do is for the good of our people and the good of King what's-his-nuts, and I'm just like, if he wants this shit so bad, why doesn't he come do it himself? But if you throw religion into the mix, I feel like it gives a greater sense of purpose to soldiers and warriors, and like further reinforces the fighting for a cause greater than you. And I think that's that whole thing popularized paladins, like just avatars of the god that you worship fighting alongside you and shit like that.
What is it, being the hammer of God?
Yeah, pretty much.
Personified, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was going to be my first class if I were like in just like general D&D, because I always thought the idea of just having like a holy warrior just come in and be like, there's not enough God in here. we got to do something about that.
God said it was okay to smash his skull. But yeah, no, I think adding divinity to the cause of a soldier's, like, of what a soldier fights for.
What's very fascinating is that it, at least in most of them, at least, I'm not sure on the paganistic and also the multi-deity ones, I forgot the word.
Polytheist?
Polytheistic, yes. Which I still think is kind of weird for Christianity. It's like, at least my take on it, because it's like, right, we have one person, a god, but by definition, his son and the spirit would also classify as that. So wouldn't that also be a polytheistic?
They're considered one and the same in one.
But it's three entities that are both the same but different but are still different.
It's kind of like, you gotta look at it as a sort of like, you can't have one without another. The three pillars are kind of like, it can't exist without itself. Kind of like some time travel rules, but not necessarily like...
Yeah, okay. I see what you mean.
I was gonna say, if you look at it in a deeper aspect, it's supposed to represent the values of humanity. It's like in a more understandable way.
Because I was about to get at that. It's like, what's interesting is, at least it's, even though like most scriptures depict or talk about very graphic and harsh experiences and events, it still tries to act as a guideline to tell people what to avoid and what not to do. And it's not just that, like, hell, most of the deities in Greek and Roman mythology, the pantheons, were not ones you want to aspire to. They were very greedy and sadistic by nature. Hell, I think the only, if I'm remembering correctly, the only one that was actually honest and nice to people out of all of them was Hades.
Yeah, that's something also I kind of wanted to like also talk about too, because Hades, people always associate Hades as like, oh, they're gonna come take my soul and like that. No, they're not the harbinger. They're the ruler of the dead.
Thanatos is the god of death. Hades is just the god of the underworld.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's the manager.
Yeah. He's the manager. Thanatos is like the fucking bicycle is either out there throwing the papers, getting the souls.
He's out there making sure Charon and Thanatos are actually doing their job.
And Cerberus too. Don't forget Cerberus.
Cerberus, yeah. Also, Cerberus, at least if I remember also correctly, wasn't also like this malevolent entity. He was just there to make sure souls didn't get out.
Guard dog, pretty much.
If we look in towards Dante's Inferno, Cerberus is actually a punishment for those of gluttony themselves.
I'm not quite sure how to take Dante's Inferno. Like, it's a good read, but at the same time, it's like, and it's a great source of inspiration. But I hate to be the blind man. It's literally just a man's fan fiction of going to hell.
I was literally about to say that. Church nowadays, I feel like Dante's Inferno has popularized what the modern church depicts as hell. There was never in the Bible does it ever mention like 9 circles or anything like that. I think there's one mention of being thrown into the lake of fire or whatever, but all we have to go off of for hell is that it's separation from God, and the one recurring phrase, and let me double check. I think it's in Matthew, talking about being cast into the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. That is the most recurring depiction of hell that we have, just darkness and separation from God. While I'm on this topic, before I forget, I wanted to briefly say something about the Holy Trinity before we continue with the Greek pantheon and such. To put an understanding of the Holy Trinity being still being a monotheistic thing, even though it's 3 entities, is the Father is the goal, like is the kingdom that you're trying to get to. The Son is the gate, and the Holy Spirit is the key. Because Jesus himself says, I am the way, the truth, and the light. No one gets to the Father except through me. And to achieve this, you have to invite the Holy Spirit into your heart and be as godlike as you can from day to day. So that's the key. Jesus being the way, the gate, and then God the Father is the kingdom that you are walking through the gate and entering. So it's all like one big mono thing.
I like the way you worded that because it puts so much sense into it, where you can like, everyone starts off naive like the son, like the boy, but then as they grow and they get knowledge and they acquire that goodness with them, can they achieve becoming the father or like the beacon for another person to inspire to come towards and things like that. Be the person that you want to be.
Be what you want to see in the world.
Exactly, thank you.
It's another translation of the golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated.
Exactly. I like that a lot. I would say I can never word it that way, but that was the best way you could word it.
Thank you.
Maybe there's better. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess going back to the Greek pantheon thing, I find it interesting that Greek, Roman, I mean, those are technically the same, but even the Norse pantheon, they're all gods created in man's flawed image, it seems.
This is just my own like speculation. The reason why I got kind of like Dante's Inferno kind of went down that weird action-y sort of like building up thing. Like in Norse mythology, or just like any kind of like mythology, whatever, they would tell stories and kind of make it its own little adventure to kind of explain how God's actions and like the world, how the world works, and like the way that they depict Dante in this is like a person going through their own adventures throughout hell. Because the thing about Dante, everyone knows him for going through hell, but he doesn't just go through hell. He goes through limbo and the layers of heaven themselves. Because limbo and heaven have their own sort of layers.
Well, limbo is, I think it's like a pre-layer of hell.
It's the in-between.
Yeah, like I can't remember if it's like layer 1 or like technically like layer 0, like the ground floor.
It's technically purgatory. It's like we haven't gotten around to you yet.
The way they depict it, it's like a gradual, like you're supposed to go up. There's a path of redemption, sort of. And I think that's the appeal that they were trying to go for, is like that redemption. Like, the thing about people is like when we're set in our mindset, we can't think people are always looking for hope. The human spirit itself has an exponential amount of hope in it. It's that indomitable human spirit that we have, and some people try to resonate with that, and like I guess like what it depicts in the Bible, like if you ask for forgiveness, I shall provide it for you, but the path is long and hard, which I think I really like, and I think for people out there who need that sort of hope and sort of guidance, it's perfect for them. Humans in general just always are trying to find deeper meanings within. We create these. When you don't got nothing, all you got are stories, and you need characters for those stories, and oh, who did this? Who made these thunderclouds? Who makes the rain? Who watches over the water and things like that?
I don't really have the jurisdiction to speak on this. Like, maybe if I was like agnostic or something, I could probably speak to it from an outside in perspective. But as a Christian, it's more of an inside looking out. Like, I know there's over, I don't even remember what the number is. Like, there's thousands of potential different religions, like joke, legit or otherwise. Like, some of them were founded for legit reasons, others still were founded for tax write-offs and the sort. But I've always looked at it like mine can't be the only one that's correct. As a Christian, I believe that mine is the correctest, I suppose. But who am I to deny the path to eternal life or enlightenment that somebody else has discovered? I have mine, they have theirs. The best I can do as a Christian is tell them about mine and share it. Like, as you know, as a Christian, we're expected to bring more people under God, but if somebody's happy under their God, at the end of the day, there's really nothing I, as a mortal man, can do about that. Out of all these religions, if somebody has found their solace in something else, good for them.
I think the reason that we have so many different religions and so many different things is God itself is such a very abstract concept, because everyone likes the idea of God being this like this wise old man and like the clouds with a robe and like a big old stone tablet or whatever. The beauty of it is that people can see God in so many different ways than what we can like predetermine and things like that. That's the freedom that we're given in we can depict God in whatever form, and maybe they're all right in some aspects, maybe they're all wrong, but there's just so many like different ones that have like maybe like one small part is true, and then like maybe it's like just a big amalgamation of just like part truths that lead up to a big whole. Like some parts might get it right, some parts might get a little different, but those parts of other religions might make up for it with it having a correct viewpoint or whatever.
Yeah, you can never really know for sure. That's the whole premise of religion, is to have faith and to believe. You can't really have proof, and this kind of ties into what we talked about on the episode I did before we started this whole 2-part series. God and angels, if you were to try to describe them, if you saw them face to face, I feel like this is one of the reasons why people latch onto like the old man descriptor thing. Like they just depict him as a wise old man, is because that's like what their mind clings to. Because looking upon like angels face to face is, as I've said before, like trying to describe something beyond the dimension that you exist in.
There's kind of a reason why the sayings are "be not afraid."
Yeah, because it's the scariest moment of your life. You're looking at something that is beyond the limits of human imagination and understanding, and you're trying to find non-existent words that are like you're trying to describe something beyond your dimension of living, limited by words that are still in your dimension. It's crazy.
This is why I'm really glad you brought that up, because I was actually, the best way I can kind of compare it to is like divinity itself is just like this thing you cannot like describe. It is like beyond words and comprehension and stuff like that, and it is just a very blinded thing. H.P. Lovecraft, of all people, kind of just in a like own dark twisted way discerns that sort of uncomprehension of like things much bigger than yourself that are like human minds can't bear to wait, and they perceive it as a sort of insanity or like its own little blight or curse. Like you can't comprehend at these entities that you're like seeing in front of you, because it is just so unfathomable.
I literally touched on this exact point. Episode 5, same episode, is trying to describe angels with Solyulvamir and Squirrely Brent. Lovecraft's works are really ultimately a personification of the fear of the unknown.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be really darn. Like if I say like you're just kind of sitting there in your bed, like saying for like a BC sort of like clay hut, and you just see a beam of light come in, like, hey, yeah, I'm a messenger of God. Your wife has a child. It's gotta be a little jarring, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It's also gotta be kind of feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself.
What's your opinion on this card?
Yeah.
Card.
Card.
Hello?
Bing bong.
Art?
Huh?
Hello?
Sorry. Yeah. My apologies. Sorry, I had my mic muted for a moment. Repeat the question.
No, you're good. I was just asking what your thoughts on this were, like what we've been talking about, like the juxtaposition of Lovecraftian works and religion as a whole. Just wanted to know your takeaway from that.
Religion as a whole is a fascinating aspect because it's, at least fundamentally, it was designed to inspire or at least encourage people to do a certain behavior, or at least guide them in a way that we at the time thought was correct or morally correct. But at the same time, as we've seen in more than enough occasions, of that being twisted into pushing either some form of agenda or distributing hate on one another, which I think isn't really how you're supposed to be using it as it's intended. As for Lovecraft's works, like, they're fascinating reads. Just understand as, like, these are also things of the time, so understand that. So, reading them now can come off in poor taste in some cases, especially with the phrasing and wording. But understand this man came from, especially the time this man was in.
Yeah.
We are not talking about his cat.
The cat.
A little too late for that. We talked about the name of his cat almost immediately on episode 5.
Okay, fine. We are not saying the cat's name.
Well, we're not saying the cat's name, but again, I reiterate, you can look it up if you really, really want to know. I would recommend scrubbing it from your search history afterwards. Lovecraft was a terrible man.
But he was also a product of his time in some cases. At least outside of his writing and his works, a lot of his behavior was considered appropriate for the time.
Respect the art, not the artist. Like, whatever is published or whatever, it's detached sort of from the actual person. Because Hitler was an artist. I mean, his paintings might not be the best, but
yeah. I would like to think that, given the events of the 1940s, that the university that he attempted to go to school to loosened their requirements a little bit.
Yeah. I think, though, this kind of ties into a thing I was kind of want to talk about, is the dual, like, as humanity as a nature, that we have this sort of duality within ourselves. Like, Chinese culture depicts it as like yin and yang, like both light and dark in us. And I think a sort of like a juxt to it would kind of be like how we were talking, like divinity and the darkness of Cthulhu and things like that. Like, how different they are in aspects of, like, one being so absurdly good and bright and such something like you can't even comprehend, like a happiness that you can't comprehend, that it can almost instill madness into you and fear and things like that. Meanwhile, you have the dark aspect of, like, Cthulhu and, like, all those kind of things where, like, it's such unimaginable depths and, like, darkness, but instills the same feelings of, maybe not like dread, but like it instills that sort of dark elation that correlates with it. And being like humans, whatever, we have to have like a certain balance between like everything. Like, nothing can be on one end or another, to have that sort of balance so we don't go crazy or overzealous or cult-like in one direction or another.
Humans tend to be absolutely fucked up creatures. It seems to be in our nature to constantly want to battle with each other. That's why a lot of people believe that non-believers are generally more fucked up people, I guess, because most religious folk believe that you can't have morals without religion. I believe that you can. You just can't have religion without morals.
Yeah, I could see that, because the thing about religion is, like, it's a path to your morals. It's for people who can't really follow the path by themselves. It's a good map for them.
Mm-hmm. There's actually a whole study that can be done where you don't even have to bring religion into it or anything like that. And it was a post going around online a few years ago, simply called the shopping cart litmus test. And it was just going over, what kind of person you are can be determined by whether or not you return your shopping cart. It was described as the ultimate litmus test for people, because on one hand, you gain nothing for returning the shopping cart. There's no reward. You purely do it out of the goodness of your heart. There's no incentive. There's no benefit. It's just something that you want to do. Conversely, it is not illegal to leave your shopping cart. It is frowned upon, yes, but you face no real consequences for not returning your shopping cart.
Oh yeah, the litmus test.
Unless, of course, you get fucking found by cart narcs, but that's another story.
Cart narc.
Yeah, so ultimately, like, there's no benefit for returning your shopping cart, but there's no consequences for not returning your shopping cart. So it's like people that return their shopping cart are like determined to be generally good people that will go out of their way to help others, or at least, leave the space that they are in better than when they came in. And then the people that don't leave their shopping carts are not necessarily bad people, but people that will do what they want and not think about the consequences of others. More often than not, to get them to behave more or less, you have to scare them with laws and their punishments, or in the case of religion, a hell, so to speak.
Shopping cart hell. I like that idea.
Shopping cart hell. You're gonna burn in hell if you don't put back your shopping cart.
Oh, fucking, now, okay, a question. Something was burning on my mind as you were saying this. What about people who return the carts for you?
They're paid to do it.
They're paid to do it.
Yeah. Nobody's going to return to somebody else's shopping cart.
I mean, some shopping carts, I don't know how they still do this. I know some areas, like, they have the little quarter thing.
Oh, yeah. We have some stores like that. We have Aldi, where I'm at, which is like
I have Aldi.
It's like a European. Oh, you have that too. It's like a European store that kind of came over here, and that whole practice of having the quarter, like it costs a quarter to get a shopping cart, but you get your quarter back when you put it away. That's like a carryover from Europe to America, and a lot of the time that's enough of an incentive, but that kind of throws off the shopping cart litmus test, because you get your quarter back if you put your shopping cart back.
Some shopping carts, like when you take them away so far away, they actually have like a little like sensor thing. Like if you go away from it, it actually locks it up and you can't move it anymore.
Yeah, Walmart started doing that a lot just to prevent theft of their shopping carts, because that's the secret third option. It's you take it. It's no longer an obstacle. You remove it from the middle of the parking lot, but the store doesn't get it anymore. It's like you're a good person if you return your shopping cart. You're a bad person if you leave it in the parking lot, or some secret third thing.
Or some secret third thing.
Some secret third thing. You take it home with you.
No. The reason it's divine intervention. It stops like in the middle of it, and lightning just comes down, smited.
Now, would divine intervention in this case be like the ones where if they leave the set property, it just automatically engages the brakes on it?
Oh no, it starts like lifting them up into the sky with like a fucking tractor beam, and just pulls them up. Like, oh no, I should have returned it. It's like that TikTok where it's like, oh holy shit, and the toilet's just glowing. Oh no, oh no.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Shout out to holy shit, best TikTok.
Shut the fuck up. But yeah, no, like I was saying with Aldi, if you throw a quarter into the mix, it fucks up the litmus test, because, like I said, it adds an incentive and it adds a consequence. As minor as it may be, the benefit is that you get your quarter back, and the consequence is that you lose your fucking quarter.
I was gonna say, then you have the church standing by with like, hey, free quarters, you just have to pay us $1. With their what were those things that like in like the old like Holy Roman Empire, like they passed off these like annulments, or like, say if you committed a sin, you could go to the church and buy like a get out of jail free card. What were those called again? I forget. It was like a big thing back in the day where it was like, oh no, sorry, Father, I've sinned. It's okay, just give us a couple bucks and you'll be sin free. Hail Mary, Hail Mary.
You talking about the Roman Empire did this?
Yes, the Roman Empire did this. It was like, I believe, yeah, it was
I'm going to Google Roman Empire get out of jail cards and see what the fuck pops up.
Yeah, it's called the Emperor. It's called the Emperor just saying pardon.
It was indulgences that they're calling. They called them indulgences. Yes, the Catholic Church sold indulgences in the Middle Ages.
Oh yeah, that's part of the reason why Martin Luther got angry at the church, because it was just like, yeah, if you just pay us X amount of money, you get fast pass to God.
Indulgence, a distinctive feature of the penitential system of both the Western medieval and the Roman Catholic Church that granted full or partial remission of the punishment of sin. That's got some fucked up connotations to it, because that is man and their greed stepping between a holy punishment.
An anime did this called Kino's Journey, where they actually had you go through different areas with this Kino, and all these different civilizations have these different rules and things. But they go to one where you acquire good boy points, essentially, in a lack of a better term. And like the better person you are, the more you have community and things like that, you get good boy points. There is this person who was essentially the mayor. He was stacking all of his good boy points to be given the same indulgence of he'll be forgiven by society for doing one bad thing, and depending on if it was like a thievery or things like that, depended on the cost. This man wanted to commit a murder. He wanted to experience what committing a murder would feel like, and that was his whole goal for being a good boy. And he pretty much acquired enough good boy points to actually commit one when Kino got there. And he had been such a good person for so long, even though they were stacking these points for so long. For that reason, it kind of overwritten their desire to do that. But that was the whole reason why they were being such a good person in the first place, was to actually kill someone. Not just not a specific person, just kill for killing's sake.
Yeah, no, that's a really good thought experiment. What if people are just being a good person to? It's like what my dad used to say in particular: one aw crap equals 1,000 attaboys. It's like you're banking enough attaboys to pay for the aw crap, but the aw crap is fucking murder.
Yeah. You gotta be a special kind of individual just to want to kill someone for that kind of sake of just murder.
That is psychopathic behavior, to be damn sure.
I was also I was also not talking, but I was doing research on just stuff around that. With certain heinous acts and things like that, people overlook the numbers over to individual suffering. Say for example, Hitler killed 1 million people, even more than 1 million people. They killed a lot of people. But it's so unfathomable to us as a whole that we focus on whatever is more descriptive, or whatever kind of sets off our humanity, so to speak. That's something to think about. Things that really get to us are things that are more visible. There was this guy who murdered a couple people. He shot at 3 people. He killed 2, but blinded one of them. And people were not focused on the people who died, rather than the blind man sitting in the court. That's what mainly made them say guilty to this man, because they actually could relate to, or put themselves in the shoe of the blind man. What if this was me, or whatever?
Yeah.
I guess you can kind of imply that same to religion. Oh well, I don't want to end up like that person, so let me try to be a better person myself, so I don't end up in such and such.
But at the same time, I feel like the issue is that I don't really know how to describe it. It's just the way I've seen it is that putting the punishment doesn't stop it. It just makes it clearer for what people are going to have to avoid if they're going to commit it.
Yep, and if you do it for the masses, it could technically be seen as fear-mongering and a form of manipulation. But to the individual, it's just a crime and its punishment. Say,
the stark contrast between Catholicism and Christianity. Christianity does not focus on the punishment rather than the benefits of being a good person and things like that. While mainly being Catholic, you have to be more of a God-fearing person, because punishments are plenty.
You had to fear the wrath and give, but also to not stoop to their level if someone else is acting upon it. They were focused on the fear it because it was also heavily implied of you don't know when the retribution hits. All you know is that's going to.
It's like going down a dark playground slide. It's pitch black. You don't know how long the slide is, and there are actions that you can take to slow your descent, but at the end of the day, you don't know where the bottom is.
This could also be a metaphor for more of watching your intent and your action going down it, because you could also, especially because of the slide metaphor, I'm now thinking of going down as a kid and the static buildup, and you accidentally jolt yourself on the exposed rivets on the inside. But I was using that as a segue to also continue off on it.
Okay. Yeah, I was really talking you don't really know.
Yeah, you don't know where it ends, but also you don't know what else can pop up on your descent.
You don't know when your fate is decided because you don't know when you're gonna die.
But you also don't know what's on the exit either. It could be you have an idea of what's down there, but while you're in it, you don't know if something else comes in.
My brain went to like compare it to like things like karma and such like that, like into beliefs like where you do good, you get good. You kind of keep that balance of like you do a good deed, you get a good deed, sort of.
That's what Buddhism and all the religions that believe in reincarnation try to do. They try to bank enough karma to achieve nirvana.
I think most religions also just adopted karma in some form or another, just because of how nice it, at least how just easy and simple it is to understand.
Yeah.
They just call it different things. Like if you're a Christian, it's called being a good Samaritan.
On a note too, can we just give props to like the Buddhists or whatever? Whenever you're like depicting your god or whatever, you got like Jesus on the cross, is all with a 6-pack and just looking like straight up out of the gym, and then you got Buddha over here just kind of with a big old smile, just like, yeah, I'm plump, but I'm happy.
Big old smile, sitting on the ground. He's
like,
rub
my tummy, you'll get good luck, don't worry. Extra good boy points, spit on your hand, but that's besides the point.
Oh my God. Why did you say Jesus had a 6-pack? What the?
You never see
because some, not all of them, for some reason, some of the depictions of his crucifixion just give him like a very muscular physique.
Yes.
Absolutely shredded, breaks the cross.
Absolutely.
Dude was eating his Wheaties.
He lifted for our sins.
He lifted.
See, that's what happened. That's what happened when he got back off. He was when he returned 3 days later. He was bench pressing that same cross.
Jesus is back, and he's not crucifying around.
You remember he had to carry that the whole.
That is true. He did have to carry that up there.
Also, like when they put him in like that cave and then blocked it with a boulder. Who moved that boulder? Mm-hmm.
I'm just imagining being the Roman legionnaires, just thinking, all right, it's like, I know it's a boring day. It's like, why is the rock open? Hey, he's gone.
Get ready to receive some Holy Spirit.
Oh, we are so screwed.
They must like drop their spirits. Like, uh-oh. That's a bad sign.
The Praetorian is not going to just believe it got up and walked away. Wait a minute, what are those footmarks on the ground?
Cuts to the rotoscoped animation of Jesus beating the shit out of somebody.
No, oh my God, I love that rotoscoped animation. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I don't know. I like some of like the extra details they go to in like the Bible. Like they talk about like very benign characters, like the person who actually stabs Jesus with like the spear. They add a little extra lore to it, which I kind of enjoy, but I'm not too familiar with. Like when Jesus was crucified, he was crucified next to 2 thieves, and they actually I don't know, lay some importance to them. I don't know. I just like that kind of thing. Extra details.
You love the details of the Bible?
I talk about it so haphazardly, but I just like I throw up like some very obscure.
Ezekiel 23, verse 20 through 21. There she lusted after her lovers, whose genitals were like those of donkeys, and whose emission was like that of horses.
What? That's in the Bible?
That's a real verse.
I want to say I'm surprised, but it's like, no, remember the Greek graffiti or the Roman graffiti? And it's just like, these guys were literally no different than us today.
Yeah, they were shit posting.
If 4chan was a board back then, you know they would be on it nonstop, just to mess with each other.
You know, this whole chapter of the Bible is talking about like the punishment for like idolatry and and lust and adultery and shit like that, and it just goes into extremely raunchy detail. So it's as soon as you said something about like you like the details of the Bible, that verse immediately popped into my head like a tumor.
Like one of those like light bulbs actually just appeared above you, like ding. Like, hang on a second, let me show you some details.
Except that light bulb said rule 34.xxx on it.
http:// It's the whole web address. The best thing I can compare it to is like certain numbers for a certain site that shall not be named on this very, very wholesome and very wonderful podcast.
Very wholesome podcast. I joked about Cthulhu eating somebody out on episode 5 within like the first 6 minutes.
I know what episode I'm gonna be watching.
Oh, you haven't watched it yet? Oh?
No, you see, I had better things to do.
All right, yeah. How many subscribers am I at? 27? Yep, 27 people. You know what to do. Shun this motherfucker.
Yep.
Don't shun me yet. Wait.
Take him out.
Wait till I drop my mixtape and then shun me.
Nah, we can't let it because then you can fall off before you even started.
I can't let you put your mixtape in vending machines. I've actually seen that.
That's actually a thing?
Okay. I actually saw it in high school. Like one of the people I was going to school with had put their fucking mixtape in the vending machine.
Was it actually like a CD or was it like a
It was a CD.
Okay, I thought it was like actual like
this was like early to mid 2010s.
Like a Walkman tape or whatever you would call them.
No, I'm not that old, motherfucker.
No, I'm
Jesus.
We're relatively the same age, Pork.
I mean, I remember back, because of that topic on high school, I remember watching a dude get pissed and shoulder checked a vending machine because he didn't get the right Nesquik. Shoulder checks it, breaks it to the point that anytime you order from it, it dispensed 3 items for 1.
Upgrades, people, upgrades.
And then it got taken out at the end of the month because they found out what happened.
Did he ever get his Nesquik though?
No, actually, he got 3 strawberry Nesquiks.
He wanted the strawberry Nesquik?
No, he just wanted regular chocolate.
The fucking machine doubled down. That's hilarious.
The machine doubled down because the idiot fat fingered the wrong button.
But he has to slim down his fingers then. He has to do little finger exercises.
You, Chuchunk, get Chuchung fucking strawberry.
You will get your strawberry.
Drink it, motherfucker.
Drink it.
Okay, well let me just say we're getting close to we're approaching the end of our time block. Y'all have any closing remarks that you want to add before we tie the little bow on this episode?
Nope, I got nothing else to add.
I think, you know what? We're going to end on a wholesome note from me. Be a good person, be the change you want to see in the world, and tip. Well, no, they're not going to tip themselves.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I guess that's kind of what I mean when I say be the cryptid you want to see in the woods.
Exactly. You're already on top of it.
You know it.
Be the shadow demon the schizophrenic thinks you are.
That's a new one. Holy shit, I might steal that. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in the ritual of putting our proverbial snouts to the ground to sift for forbidden mushrooms on the path less traveled. As always, be the cryptid that you wish to see in the woods. Have a good night, everyone.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Bye-bye.